Mr. Pilay, thank you for the interview. So you are the country manager for the Worldbank here in Sierra Leone. You've been here a year and a half now, so you have a pretty good idea about the possibilities for investors in Sierra Leone. What would you say are the major changes that are either have happened in the past or are going to happen quite soon that will enable investors, or that will make it easier for investors to be here in Sierra Leone?
Well, thank you for having me on your show. This is a very interesting time to be in Sierra Leone with 10 years of peace and stability, two elections that have been successfully conducted, reasonably good economic growth rate. So a lot of things that investors would look for are very much starting to emerge in the country. And I think over the next 5 to 10 years is going to be a pretty transformative period. I mean, in fact, I often say that what happens in the next 5 to 10 years will perhaps define how the next generation of Sierra Leoneans would live and prosper in the country. The main thing would be in terms of the what's happening in the mineral sector, the likely huge value addition that is going to happen from the mineral sector is going to be key here. There are estimates that the economic growth rate in 2012 could be as high as 50%. I mean, by any stretch of imagination, that is quite a significantly high growth rate, and it's a one-off growth rate after which we expect it'll sort of come back to a normal sort of a trend growth of 6% plus. So there are a number of things here that are quite interesting. I think you would have also heard about the latest Doing Business report, where Sierra Leone has been ranked among the top 10 reformers globally. Now, this is really a big deal because it sort of puts quite a lot of attention among the investor community and others in terms of looking more closely at the country. And I wanted to give the credit to the government for all the efforts that they put in terms of doing the necessary reforms. And we believe if they continue to show progress on these reforms over the next 4 to 5 years, then the sort of perception that exists of Sierra Leone would immediately start to change, and that is something which is worth aiming for.
Definitely, because you are not from here, I am not from here, so we know what the image of Sierra Leone is abroad, and unfortunately for Sierra Leone, it's an image that corresponds more to 10 years ago than it does now. What can you see, what kind of efforts can you see that the government and even yourself, what kind of efforts do you see to change this image that foreigners have?
Well, I think the first thing is, as I said, if there are consistent sort of reforms that are undertaken, which make it easier for investors to come and invest here, which make it gives them the comfort that there is going to be peace, stability, that they can come and do business and sort of contribute to national economic growth as well. So I think those would be some of the key underpinnings that are needed. There's been quite a lot of progress that is currently happening around the country in terms of infrastructure development, which is going to be the other key. And in terms of roads, electricity, we have recently, through World Bank support, helped privatize the port terminal here in Freetown. Now, not many people know that this is one of the deepest natural harbors that you can see in many parts of the region. So it has quite a lot of advantages to sort of build upon. So once we help clean up the port and make it more efficient, make it more modern, it'll allow goods to flow through the port a lot more easily and a lot more quickly, which is going to be again helpful for business. The World Bank has also recently helped lay the submarine cable, which is the first sort of submarine cable connectivity that Sierra Leone is going to get, and that again will help improve communication. Right now, connectivity and communication costs in Sierra Leone are about 10 to 15 times what they are in many other countries, and we expect once the submarine cable gets operational in 2012, these costs would come down pretty dramatically, and helping improve connectivity for businesses, then for banks, for others to be able to sort of come and operate here would be a lot easier. So there are a number of building blocks that are now in place for the investment climate to go up to the next level.
So if I understand you right, then you think the future is looking a lot brighter for Sierra Leone than the way it is now?
Oh, absolutely. I think as I said earlier, the next 5 to 10 years could be quite defining in many ways. It's a great time for investors to come and take a closer look at the country. I'm sure the country deserves to get top quality investors to come in here. So I think it's important to look at the country more closely for these investors. I think as the international donor community, we are helping support many of the sectors and helping put in place some of those sort of building blocks. As I said, there's been relative peace and political stability. So there are a number of other things that investors perhaps were not sure about, which are currently in place. That's not to say they aren't going to be sort of challenges, but I'm sure, like any developing country, Sierra Leone would sort of start to address those challenges going forward.
What I also hear a lot of people say, and I think I hear you say that as well, that this is a right time to start doing this. It doesn't really make sense to wait 5 to 10 years after everything has been established. This is a very good time to think and to do something about investing in Sierra Leone.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, including the fact that if you are, looking at areas which have not been explored, tourism is a completely sort of, if you want to call it a sector that's, greenfield. There's a lot of opportunities that exist. So now is the time to sort of, come and invest and, look at those sectors. And as the economy tends to grow, you would see that investors have started to reap the benefits from that growth rate that the country is going to see.
Okay. Some last advice that you would like to give to people whose interest has been provoked, so to say, by the efforts done, and so investors that are seriously looking now at Sierra Leone, some kind of advice?
Well, I think the main thing I would say is that to perhaps help shed the reservations that many investors have had about the country, to take a closer look at the country. There have been some very important changes that have taken place in recent years, and as I said, there are some very significant changes that are likely to happen. So take a closer look at the country, come and sort of see where the opportunities are. I mean, the international community and the donors are here, so we'd be very happy to talk and engage and sort of see if we can be of assistance in any way.
Okay, one last question. You talked about the Doing Business Index ranking. It's a double question. If you could say a little bit more about that, and also what you think will happen in the future. Will they keep being best performing, or?
Well, I think the main thing is that given that the country has now seen that it's possible to get into the top reformer category, we hope that there has been therefore the momentum and the incentives now that exist within the government. And I must say that there has been commitment from the top of the government to take these reforms forward, and it can't be seen to be a one-off sort of an event. And the Worldbank Group really thinks that if Sierra Leone keeps at it over the next 4 to 5 years, and in terms of make sure that it is possible for it to jump up. I mean, Sierra Leone jumped up 9 places in the Doing Business rating last year. So you can imagine 5 years, if it keeps doing that, it's very much sort of starting to get into the top 100 sort of countries, and therefore would be a very, very attractive place to sort of look at in future.
Yeah, and of course it's the right, but a country that goes up in the ranking is the right place to be, of course,
Absolutely.
for investors.
Absolutely.
Okay. So thank you very much for the interview. How much longer will you be in the country?
Well, probably another year and a bit. We normally have between 2 and 3 years.
Okay, well, it will be nice if the joint efforts would make Sierra Leone go up as much next year in the doing business rankings as it has this year. So good luck with that.
Thank you very much. And whether I'm here or not, I mean, the World Bank is sort of would be here and continue to be a strong and serious partner for Sierra Leone. Thank you very much for having me on the show.
Okay, thank you too.